there's always that little awkward pause as we like let everybody join. So how about I just share for fun for a minute? I love this slide in a way that my creative team put it together. I was like, team, what I need is like our logo and their logo, and we're always winning together. And so they did the fun hashtag bit of hashtag winning when we overlap and work together and collaborate. But that's one of my favorite parts of, the partnership that we've had is in the early days when I started the company here, it was Feedback 5 on the outset. And then as we continue to work with more and more brands, as well as sellers, we were constantly promoting Feedback 5 on the outset, as well as the rest of the e-com engine product set. So we've had a fun. I started the company 6 years ago, but even when I was at the brand myself, I was using you guys. So about 7 years or so, I've been working with y'all and had nothing but great stories. And great successes together. We've had a lot of fun. We didn't say, look, even with all the changes, we're still doing really awesome things together.
Yes, I love that Venn diagram. That's perfect with the winning in the middle. All right, so we have quite a few people that have joined. I'm sure we'll have a few more that start rolling in. But again, just wanted to welcome everybody today to our webinar. I'm excited to have the Channel Bakers team on board, so I'll introduce you to each of them. But my name is Colleen Quattlebaum. I'm the marketing manager at Ecom Engine. You won't be seeing or hearing much from me today because this is all about advertising. And so Sarah and Josh are going to share their expertise with you to help you take your advertising on Amazon to the next level. So a little bit about Josh and Sarah. As Josh mentioned briefly, he started Channel Bakers back in 2015, and they've driven over $3 billion in actual product sales for clients. Their agency has built and managed over $250 million in Amazon ad spend, and that's attributed to over $2 billion in sales. So obviously they have helped a lot of businesses make a lot of money. And Sarah is the vice president at Channel Bakers, and she's been in the industry for 15 years, and she has excelled with many different brands, helping them drive profitable growth in all the retail and e-commerce space across multiple different e-commerce channels. And Channel Bakers, as you can see, there's several awards down there that they've won. One that I wanted to highlight is the Silver Stevies Award winner. They were noted as Advertising Agency of the Year, which is a huge accomplishment, as well as several of the others that you can see down there. So we think very, very highly of Channel Bakers and love referring our clients to them. And so I will go ahead and just pass it on to Josh to take it from here.
Yeah, right on. Just fun fact, I don't know if you guys noticed that it's not the exact same shirt, but every time I do a webinar, I always wear this jacket. Everybody calls me the purple jacket guy, but it's actually wine. But I always like to do that because they're like, wait a minute, that is the same guy. So anyhow, let's keep trucking along. So quick, I'll be as brief as I can about us. We're not here to talk about us. We're here to add value to you guys and show you display specific. So DSP is really what we wanted to focus in on today. So just a quick fun fact, I used to work at GoPro way back in the day, and I got to beta test what was then known as Amazon Marketing Services, AMS, and the first product back then, as many of you are probably aware, was Sponsored Products, but that was 2013, about a year and a half before Amazon formally launched it to the world. So I've been in the platform since beta while I was at GoPro. And then I kept and maintained that relationship with a lot of the product team at first, not necessarily the Amazon media rep team, but more on the product side, helping them develop it and grow it. And one of the people in this room is actually now running all things sponsored display, which is really cool. But that is kind of our story. Is we've been in the platform since day one. We've been arm in arm with Amazon, helping them develop the product, make the product better. I mean, for those of you that have been within the landscape of Amazon search for a minute, you remember back in the day when we didn't have a date range slicer? We've been bugging them since I was in beta back in 2013, going like, we just need to like date range slice. Like I need to be able to tell the client week over week, month over month, quarter over quarter. So those are some of the things that we got to do alongside Amazon, is be there to help them shape the roadmap to make the platform better for us all. We are now global. So fun fact, I've been able to build the company with no investors, and still to this day, no debt, no investors even still, but we're now global. We've had this beautiful organic growth arm in arm with Amazon globally. So no matter what market they're in with Amazon advertising, we're there too. And we've been expanding globally. We're fluent in 20 different languages, and that was important as we expanded into different regions, Japan or let's just say France. I've actually been able to sponsor in from other countries folks, and we pay for all their sponsorships and all of the above so that we can deliver for clients in those native languages with their ad creative and their call to action statements within their ads, all of the above, right? Sure, like we do everything that everybody says they do. That's awesome. I think if I was to give you like one key takeaway from the service offering slides, within the landscape of Amazon advertising, we've been there, like I said, from the beginning, but that also means that we're able to get access to self-service tools or products like Amazon Display back in the day when they called it AAP. Amazon Advertising Platform is what it was, but it's really Display. And we actually, to the degree that we've grown with Amazon Display, they've literally relocated somebody from Seattle to be in our office full time, obviously pre the events of last year. Literally had a full-time Amazonian here in our office working with us with Display specifically, which opened up OTT and a lot of other fun things we'll share with you today with regard to what you can do with Display that are fun and very tactical. In the landscape of retail, for those of you that need help in the landscape of scaling your Amazon team for retail things, whether it's catalog management, whether it's vendor negotiations, all of the above, we do all of that. And then marketplace management, it got really cool to do a hybrid model there for a while. And we've helped some of the world's largest brands be able to navigate that, which was normally like you can never pull that off because of the MOA policy. We've been able to help brands do that. And then creative services is one of the funnest things that we do. And we're going to spend a lot of time talking about best in class ad creative, but also best in class destinations. Where are you sending that traffic, right? So we'll geek out on that a little bit later. And let me just jump right in. I wanted to just instantly start sharing.
Josh, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
just before you jump into the details of everything you're going to share, I just want to open it up to the audience just to let them know that you're welcome to ask questions throughout this presentation. Please use the Q&A at the bottom of the Zoom taskbar there. And we are recording this. So I know that Josh has a lot of energy and speaks fast. So if you miss anything, don't worry, because we will be sending you the recording. But any questions you have, put them in the Q&A, and Sarah, Josh, or I will make sure that those get answard.
I love to storytelling. I gotta pack in all the stories. So yeah. I'll dial it down.
You've got a lot to tell. It's exciting. Good stuff.
I'll definitely slow it down a bit. All right. So, I'm definitely going to be talking about Amazon Display advertising, but I like to look at, for all of you, that whether you're a seller or a brand, Amazon actually has more ad products that really bridge the gap between what was traditional, let's say, programmatic or performance marketing or demand generation or awareness, whether that was billboards on the side of the freeway or TV ads or whatever that might have been. Amazon's actually been able to bridge the gap between that and the sale of a product. And I think many of you probably already know that. We built this slide though, for one of our bigger clients who had, you guys, they had 55 subsidiaries. They were one brand and they had 27 product categories and over 450 products. And they were all fighting over who was going to own what keywords and which tactics and who was going to manage display. And we kind of really helped break it down for them. This particular client of ours has a demand generation team that was based in New York, and another product team that was down in Dallas, and another team that was up in Seattle, and another team that their headquarters was overseas, and they were all struggling and fighting with each other about who's going to pay for what. So we said, okay, demand gen team, these are the levers you can pull within the Amazon landscape. And hey, for those of you that have Amazon specific dollars, that's really needed for the bottom of funnel conversion, like sticking a flag in the ground and protecting your turf. And then for those of you on the product teams, as well as the demand generation teams, there's a lot of fun things we can do from a consideration standpoint, like conquesting competitors, et cetera. That's a lot of consideration, or cross-selling and all of the above. So we're gonna go into some of those tactics here in just a second. I do get asked that hard-hitting question, like, what makes you guys different, Josh, right? And I'm gonna answer that for you, not because I wanna tout our value. That's actually because I wanna give you some new ways to build campaigns, and I think it'll be fun. My team literally created a drinking game based on every time Josh in a webinar uses the word granular, they take a shot. But looking at that, I think it's absolutely critical. From day one, I've been building campaigns super granular because we want to be able to make sure that we're, number one, very, very, very relevant to the audiences with the product that we're selecting. But also we're very adamant about objective-based advertising. And what I mean by that is you should be approaching any ad platform, not just Amazon, with some objective outcome in mind. Meaning, is it market share grab? Is it increased lifetime value? Is it, obviously there's branded on search and protecting your keywords, but audience modeling is a narrative I like to use is, hi, I'm Gatorade. I want to target people in market for running shoes during marathon season in New York about a week or 3 days before the New York Marathon, right? That type of audience modeling tactic is definitely in between awareness and consideration, but within the DSP landscape, you can actually geo-target like that. And there are some key differences between, let's say, sponsored display and Amazon DSP. And we'll kind of go through some of that. Some of that will become pretty apparent. We are massive fans of sponsored display. And actually, back in the day, we used only sponsored display pre-DSP because it was the only ad product within the sponsored ads console that didn't have relevancy guardrails. So we love sponsored display and we love the concept of audience modeling. But these are all the varying different things that we can do. The last thing I'm going to say with regard to this slide is it will help also provide better insights when you build granularly, which helps you make those insights more actionable. Let me give you an example. We had a hard drive client who wanted us to build 983 campaigns because they wanted to target their 1 terabyte network attached storage drive to the other brand's 1 terabyte. And they wanted us to do that for every single one of their competitor brands for every product family they had. And we used sponsored display, we used search, we did all of the above. And here's what we were able to come back with. When going after competitor A, you get really good click-through at showing intent, but you're not able to really convert them. But competitor B, not only are you getting great click-through rates, but your return on spend and conversion rate is amazing. That's the one that if you're going to spend money going out there to do a market share grab and you want to do it effectively from a return on spend standpoint or an ACoS standpoint, this is the brand you should go after. And by the way, the product that you're taking share with is the 4 terabyte for network attached storage and the 2 terabyte for your value models, right? Like being able to deliver that level of insight really only comes from being able to build campaigns very granularly. And this is something I want to leave with you guys. You could do this with search, you could do this with display, but we're here a little bit to talk about display. And for those of you who are here and you're sellers and you see all of these, brand names that are big household brand names, or if you're a brand that's like a direct to consumer or VC-backed startup or all of the above, like we're not, these tactics that we're going to share today are for all of you, right? It's not just the big guys that we work with. So looking at this audience modeling, again, this is a fun example of where in the landscape of Amazon Display, they have audiences, lifestyle audiences that we can target like NFL fanatics. And this particular client really wanted to focus on NFL fanatics 4 to 2 weeks before Super Bowl so they could get a new TV for Super Bowl. And then where we served those ads was, and we were able in the landscape of DSP, select specific sites like fantasy football, for example, and serving ads for new TVs on a fantasy football site to shoppers that have been in market for all things NFL swag. And it's not just search. It's not just like, okay, we're only going after people that have been, in market for jerseys. Amazon has multiple touch points to define their audiences, like NFL fanatics. In-market targeting is one of the most obvious, but here, let me give you the story behind this slide. In this slide, dog food as a keyword was upwards of, Sarah's actually at this brand. Sarah was our client, and this is the brand she worked at. Sarah, I think you mentioned, what was the highest CPC you saw for dog food?
At one point, it was up to $60. It was crazy. Yeah. You have to think that in this category, who's spending? It's the Nestle's, Purinas, P&G's, Blue Buffaloes of the world with endless pockets. So, I and Loving You was a VC-backed startup. We had to find another way to speak to relevant audiences because we didn't have the same wallet as those guys. And, you know, being a brand of this size, and anyone who's listening today, you know, if you are a startup brand, you can compete against the big guys. You just have to outsmart them and be very creative. And that's exactly what we did when we worked together. With Channel Bakers and I and Lovin' You. And this example that Josh is talking about here, this was for a product launch that was new, that needed to be explained. You see on the right there, we drove to a custom landing page, which had no distraction widgets. It lived on Amazon. So this wasn't sending them off Amazon somewhere. This lived on Amazon. And we leveraged this page to launch a new product, educate on how it was different and why it was special, and then offer custom promotions that didn't erode ASP throughout the entire marketplace. So, and the only way to get to these pages was leveraging the DSP. And we really used that ad tool as a way to speak to folks who were in market for dog food without having to compete on search.
For $60 a click. Right?
$60 a click, right? Yeah. So this was a real fun one, and it was very effective.
Even if you want to go like even a step further in regard to being able to leverage display for driving market share, you could do what's called competitor ACE in your market. We're going to cover that in a minute, but like we could literally go, okay, everybody that's winning organically and paid, we can target all the shoppers that viewed or purchased, but viewed all of those top organic and paid placements on search, and piggyback off of their dollar and their organic traffic and remarket all those people and serve them ads to a amazing custom landing page destination where they get proper educated and they can buy there too without the distraction widgets. But we're kind of going down into the, when do I do detail page? When do I do brand store? When do I do custom landing page? We're going to get to that in just a minute. But this was a fun one because Sarah and the team here did that together. So looking at overlap targeting. So this is an example where we were aiming to increase lifetime value. We knew that we were able to get a shopper. You know, that was, again, this example shows Samsung viewers, but it could also be purchasers. Samsung's product portfolio was so large that what we were aiming to do was anybody that had an affinity for Samsung, whether it was a purchaser or a viewer, that also was in market for phones, mobile, like unlocked phones, that's an overlap audience. The likelihood of that audience being able to purchase or wanting to purchase was greater than just doing super broad targeting for in-market or, you know, brand level remarketing. We really wanted to hone in and be laser focused, and that was a very, it's a very powerful, granular tactic to be able to go, okay, they already like us, and they're in market for what we also make, and they've already maybe bought a TV from us. Let's go sell them a cell phone. This is increasing lifetime value with the brand, with the shopper audience. So that's a fun one. This one is, again, might have seen it earlier, cross-sell, cross-merchandising for me is a big, big deal. There's in-market viewers for knives. This is a knife sharpening brand, but then there's also, like, again, going back to that example I talked about, where there's like there's actual products that are winning organic and or paid for knives. This is, again, another overlap audience where they were already looking at products that are further down the funnel, not just in market. And Amazon has, again, multiple touch point signals that can validate that they're in market. We don't know all those signals, but we can also do product targeting plus in market targeting to be able to create an even more refined audience and then serve them really amazing creative and drive them to a page where they get proper educated without distraction widgets on the detail page. This is again, when we talk about market share growth and trying to grow market share, and oftentimes, especially in the beginning, it was one of the pitches that we were very adamant about was, hey, did you know that we can go after your competitor and they won't even know, right? It's search, it's very obvious. In the landscape of search, like, and you conquest the competitor's brand, they see that. It's very public, right? But in the landscape of DSP, you can do that and they wouldn't even be aware because we're serving ads maybe on Amazon and off Amazon and then bringing them back to you. That's another really fun, discrete, we call it last minute stealth deals. And I'll show you how we put that together. We called it last minute stealth deals. And what we did here was anybody in market for our clients' competing product that was looking at the competing product during Turkey 5. So that's Black Friday and Cyber Week, and that did not buy, we said, okay, great. Last minute means December 8th to the 22nd, because there's 2 days left to get it before Christmas Eve, right? During that period of time, we're gonna go remarket all those people that looked but didn't buy our competitors' products. We're gonna bring them back to us with a deal for our top 3 products. The 2 were the top most purchased and converting cameras, but the lens was also their most popular lens. So we were able to put this together, do a last minute stealth deal, and be really discreet. Sarah, I think you had something you wanted to share.
Yeah, I wanted to build off of that. So for anyone who's not familiar with how custom landing pages on Amazon work, these last minute stealth deals do not affect ASP or buy box pricing. And so for any of the sellers that are listening, either brand side or just seller side, if you have inventory you want to offload, you want to offer last minute deals, but you don't want to erode the marketplace with pricing, this is how you do it. For any of you brands, we'll take a beauty example. So for any of you beauty brands that may sell in Sephora, they are not kind to you if you also want to sell on Amazon. There are ways you can get around that through hybrid accounts, and there are ways that you can promote and support the brand without them ever finding out. This is a great way to do that. This is a great tool to avoid channel conflict, offer a great value to the consumer, tell your story in a way that will not impact the rest of the market.
Awesome. And then there is the most very bottom funnel, easy, simple to execute tactic of, okay, anybody who looked at my product that didn't buy, let's remarket them, right? And what I've seen out there in the landscape of helping sellers, this was really the only thing that a lot of them, these other webinars I've seen, were talking about was just ACE and remarketing. That's super duper basic, right? The other part to this story, and I know Sarah is going to chime in here in a second, but if you're only doing ACE and remarketing and you're not driving any other traffic to that detail page, you're going to have diminishing returns, right? You can only remarket the same audience so many times, and that's a setting that obviously can be set how often you reached out to the same shopper. But like, don't you want to fill the funnel and make that targeting pool larger? Sarah, I can see you chomping at the bit. I know you want to add here. We did this with you at one of your other brands that you worked at before you came to work with us. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So I was at an awesome brand called Wandering Bear, and they make the most amazing cold brew coffee on earth. And the challenge with our category is that it was a small subset of like this bigger coffee category. You know, of course, the first thing we turned on was ACE and remarketing because obviously, right? But after a while, you know, we continued to fill the funnel, but we realized we're running out of people to talk to. So we need to start going bigger funnel, broader, more targeted, and we'll get into that in a minute when we start talking about creative strategy as well. But really here, you know, add fatigue to the consumer. If you're not filling that funnel and you're only doing this, you will definitely lose out.
Awesome. So this is for those of you that are brands and you're asking the question, like, what does a best-in-class product launch look like? Depending on your size, obviously there's the element to, hey, do I have a budget to even do an OTT or going down Twitch or what have you? This was just a really good example of where this particular brand married 2 of the brands under their large brand umbrella as a conglomerate. And they really wanted to focus in on providing a solution specific, right? It was a product launch, plus they're including a free game, plus they were launching a new mic. And so looking at that, they had a webcam, they had all the things, but the intent here was let's deliver a solution and then let's provide the custom landing page experience where that bundle's already married and we're telling the story of why these things are all put together and the discount associated. And again, the goal is to buy from that page rather than for those of you that have done bundles on Amazon, you know that it's getting better, but it's been somewhat of a challenge, especially for those of you in the vendor central landscape, for those of you that are there. Long and short of it though, this is kind of what we recommend. It's not just pulling one lever and expecting that your product launch is going to go amazing. I think that's the key takeaway from this slide is, again, going back even to the funnel slide I showed earlier, the idea here is that there's more levers that you can pull in the Amazon ad landscape to be able to have a successful product launch. This is just one fun example where we use 100% display in this model. They were obviously doing things on search as well, but Twitch, DSP, and OTT were all done as an awareness and conversion tactic and strategy. So moving right along, let me do that. Here's a fun example of where this particular brand has their own branded ink for their printers. And one of the challenges that they were facing is the remanufactured ink cartridges were really dominating search. And they really wanted to tell their story. When you buy our ink, you get better performance and you get longer life out of your printer, all of the above, right? So we worked with them on the creative. We worked with them on creating a video that told that story. And we didn't just like put this message out on search, and it was getting really, really expensive even on search because of all those other remanufactured brands that were there. It was just super competitive. We did leverage DSP for video ads, as well as OTT, again, with video ads to really try to help tell the story. And again, drove to a custom landing page that also helped reinforce that story. And for them, this was their big push. They needed to get their ink cartridges sold. And I can't tell you all the outcomes because that would be great. Not going to do that, but I would tell you that all of the things that we put in front of you are our best performing tactics and some of the strategies. There's a lot of others that are really awareness driven, and we don't normally show a lot of that, primarily because we get the question usually in the question part of a webinar. Okay, well, what about return on spend, right? We're very adamant that return on spend isn't the only conversation, but what I shared with you just now, looking at some of those tactics and strategies, are really squarely focused on driving a sale. Creative. I'm going to let Sarah take over from here. I'm going to chime in probably on some custom landing pages, when to use a brand store, when to use a detail page, when to use a custom landing page. But for now, I'm going to let Sarah really talk about and this is one of the key differences between sponsored display is custom creative. So Sarah, take it away.
All right. So Josh just gave us a really high level overview of what some advanced DSP tactics are. These are all things that are very attainable to this audience, to everyone that's listening. And that's great. And that's important. However, if you don't have a creative strategy that is going to match how targeted and granular your display tactics are, you're really missing a huge opportunity. This is about telling the brand story. This is about arresting and engaging content. And this is about aligning what, maybe seller brands that are listening are doing on Amazon with everything else out there, right? Your social, your in-store, everything. To have everything be very cohesive and telling the same message to the consumer. Very, very passionate about creative strategies and how important it is. If you're talking, this is a great example on the screen here from I Am Loving You. And this was an emerging brand playing in a very expensive and competitive category that had to find other ways to compete. Luckily, they have phenomenal products. They have a tremendous brand personality, and they knew their consumer and their end consumer. And so here's a great example of creative strategy. We know that cat owners get very, very cranky when they see anything that has a dog on it. So anytime we were trying to tell the I Am Loving You brand story, we had to build at a granular level. One message for cat owners, one message for dog owners, and ne'er should the two meet. Okay, so and we knew that was so important because as soon as a cat owner sees a photo of a dog, they are immediately turned off and we've lost them. So that is just one example in CPG, in pet, where you can kind of get the idea of how important it is for your creative strategy to align with your targeting.
And one of the things that I loved about I Am Loving You as a brand in general was how they leveraged pop culture references in all of their packaging. And our team took and ran with it in the ad creative side. Just for fun, for half a second, tell us a little bit about leveraging all those pop culture references. Did anybody ever get in trouble? Did that work? Moo, cow, get out the way. I remember that was one of them. just for fun, tell us a story about how that evolved, because this is actually a branding element here more than a DSP creative, but I think it's fun to share a little bit about I Am Loving You's, leveraging of pop culture references.
Look, and again, it's using what you got, right? I mean, the I11U marketing and creative team are best in class. There's no one that touches them. And they're located out of Boulder, Colorado, tremendous personality. How do you stand out in a crowded category where everyone has money for days? What do? You lean in to the brand personality to stand out. And Josh, a lot of times it was our punny creative that got people to click on the ad and go, oh, well, who are these guys? What is this? Oh, and then learning about the product attributes. Wait, this is good for my pet. This isn't just some kitschy thing here, right? It's using what you have. And I know someone put something in the Q&A of like, how do we level this playing field? How do we compete against the big guys? I get it. I was the gal in the seat trying to figure that out. And working very closely with marketing, pulling forward that brand personality, I tell you, it worked. So use what you got. For any of the brands listening, use that. Use your marketing to grab people's attention. You will keep their attention by how good your PDP content is, and driving them to trial and conversion, which is another webinar entirely. But this is a great way. And this is the first touch point into the brand, is to lean on your brand personality.
And it's not clickbaity in any way, shape, or form, right? It's really creative, right?
Yeah.
So real quick, oh dang nabbit, the audio played. Of course it did.
Of course it did. Listen, so we know video is the thing. Everyone's talking about video. And for some of the seller brands and sellers that are watching today as well, I mean, I'm sure the big challenge is, how do we get video assets? Josh was mentioning here at Channel Bakers, we have an entire video studio, editing suite, everything. We do video for the e-commerce channel all day. And it's really important. Again, as people are learning about your products and your brands, that first touch point of interacting with you, video is the way to go. And video is going to be crucial on your PDPs, in your display ads, everywhere. So video, as they say, video is the future, but the future is happening right now.
Right, and as of this moment too, if you were to ask like, what's the key difference between sponsored display and DSP? Video right now is big part of that, right? Sponsored display at this current time, although I'm pretty sure it'll eventually happen where sponsored display will have video capabilities. Right now, sponsored brands video is the only video placement within the sponsored ads console. Video is powerful. In the sponsored brands video landscape, we're getting better performance on every single metric you can imagine. In DSP, though, we can leverage it multiple different ways. We can leverage video ads, and that's going to be another tip in the hat or arrow in the quiver that's really going to help you stand out. Is if you've got video, leverage it. In no way, shape, or form should you be leveraging like a brand video for your ad creative. You need to really be thinking about, and this is why I had to build a whole studio. I invested a ton of money in building an entire studio in a separate building that we converted into a massive studio to build content for video for e-commerce, because it's different, right? It's got to be different than your brand video. That's not going to cut it. And as a matter of fact, due to the events of last year, some of your old brand videos or even product level videos may not be hyper relevant any longer. There's a new reinvented message that you have to put out there because of the events of last year. So that's why I heavily tripled down on video production over the past 3 years. But last year I really doubled down and building out an entirely new studio, because video is going to be one of those things that helps you stand out 100%. Even if you're a seller and you want to leverage video ads to drive to your listings, you can still do that. So there's video is still critically important, whether you're a brand or a seller. Sarah, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I just wanted to close with the video that we showed you here, the example. This was for a new brand and a new product on Amazon, and we created this for them at launch. This is a product that required tremendous education. And so, we were able to pull this together. This was pretty much a startup brand that we supported. So great example with the Sleep Halo folks.
Yeah, right on. Well, let's keep going. Let's talk about best-in-class destinations. So now we're going to have that conversation about detail page versus brand store versus custom landing page. If you're a seller, you're going, but normally we don't get access to brand store. So we're going to talk about that too, and we'll have some fun there. Brand stores. Sarah, do you want to take this and then I can just add some flair?
Absolutely.
What do you think of brand stores?
And I apologize, my interns are barking, but they're being silenced now. So brand stores, this is a really great way to drive brand affinity. For any of you seller brands out there, this is where you tell your brand story. This is a marketing tool. This is a sales tool. This is a loyalty tool, all of the things, right? It aligns this beautiful creative with what you have out there in the marketplace as well. And it's a really great place to tell both your brand story and your product story as well. Very visual, very arresting, shoppable. It's such a great tool that everyone should be leveraging this. And in a lot of ways, it is a micro version of your own website. So it shouldn't be too intimidating, but there are some nuances to it that make it a really effective tool on Amazon.
Again, going back to that question, like, Josh, what could you guys do that others can't? There's some really fun things that we're doing with video and motion graphics within the landscape of brand stores, as well as custom landing pages, which we'll get to in a minute. I do want to call out that, like, and I hope to get a laugh out of some of you, but I look at the Amazon detail page as like this massively distracting. I've got people conquesting my page. I don't want to quite say that it's like the bathroom wall of Amazon's site, but it's like, I don't like sending traffic there unless I have to. And I know that the question is going to come up, so I'm going to answer it now before you put it into the questions and answers. But Josh, doesn't detail page views have a lot to do with my Amazon organic ranking? I do think, yes, of course, that is a no-brainer. But transactions for your product in terms of orders is significantly more important. And Amazon absolutely takes into consideration, the A9 algorithm will take into consideration your conversion rate. So if you're closing a sale over at a brand store, as an example, and they never went to your detail page, and you still had, let's use simple math. Let's make it easy. You had 100 detail page views and you sold 10 units from that, detail page view, that's a 10% conversion rate. Because you sold 10 units over here and 10 units over here, but your detail page views never went up, you now have 20% conversion rate. Pretty sure, and I can't say because I don't work at A9, but pretty sure you're going to see some improvement in your organic ranking because your conversion rate went up, even though your detail pages stayed static. So I love answering that question because I do get hit with that a lot. We are very adamant about brand stores. It's a curated experience. It's definitely a place where you get to tell your brand story your way. And we're going to transition in a minute to custom landing pages, but I like brand stores as even a potential for you to consider, maybe at a product launch, not sending traffic to the detail page, sending it to the brand store, because you need to educate the audience. And this is a much cleaner distraction widget free place where your competitors aren't there, right? This is your turf. The last thing I want to mention with regard to brand stores, if you're a seller right now and you're going, yeah, but I'm a seller. Well, obviously there's some loopholes for you to be able to get access to brand stores for you as a seller. But where I really think I want to help you understand what could be is if you as a seller are engaging with brands that you have the exclusive distribution rights, let's say for the US and Amazon, then they should be able to grant you access to be able to work within their brand store via brand registry. So looking at, hey, I'm a seller and I can't normally get access to brand stores. What do I do? Well, this is a new value add that you could bring to some brands that maybe you're engaging with that would allow you to be able to go to them and go, okay, I want to help you build your brand store. We have a lot of recommendations, and sellers, you guys are extremely smart and savvy. I'm sure you've got a lot of like optimization tricks that you would love to be able to share with the brand. That's where you can start to engage brand stores, even though you may yourself not have one. Just wanted to throw that out there. There's still value that you guys get to add to the brands that you work with. All right, so custom landing pages. We work with Amazon very closely. I mentioned we literally had somebody that was full-time here in my office. Custom landing pages has been something I've been standing on my soapbox for years about. With the advent of brand stores, we started to get questions like, well, why didn't I just send it to the brand store? Well, in the landscape of brand stores, that lives inside sponsored ads. And if you've got some really strong promotions that you want to call out, you can't really do that. You can't say get 30% off or get 10% off or whatever that may be. So in the custom landing page landscape, there's promotions that you may have as a brand or even as a seller, and I'll show you some of that in just a second, where in the custom landing page landscape, you can do that. And then the other piece is if you are a brand and you have a media team and you've ever tried to go to them and say, okay, well, I need some of those dollars for Amazon. They go, yeah, but we have this beautiful curated experience on our own.com, and we've done a bunch of site testing and heat map testing, and like, this is the best experience we want to provide, and we can't do that on Amazon. Well, now you can, right? So now you can go to the media teams within your brands and be able to say, okay, like, we can duplicate what you've done here and all the best practices that you had on your own.com on Amazon. There'll just be like a little strip across the top that makes it look like Amazon. But other than that, we can, for the most part, I mean, there's some superlatives you might say on your website, like, we are the best brand in the whole wide world. We can't, like, that, still can't do that on custom landing pages. But, you know, for the most part, we can duplicate your site and all the best practices, especially the conversion best practices that you've leveraged on your own.com, and build it into a custom landing page. Bundles, oh my gosh, we could talk all day about this, guys. Especially in the seller landscape, you guys are really good at piecing together really solid and effective bundles, right? But as I mentioned earlier, historically, Amazon hasn't been great at bundling in general. It used to be a super Frankenstein together detailed page of 2 different products, and there was like no consistent messaging, and the bullet points might have been that bullet point from that brand and that product and another bullet. It was a mess, right? What we have been able to do through the use of custom landing pages and our partnership with Amazon is be able to build some really impactful bundle promotions, as well as just bundles in general, and telling the story of why these 2 products work better together. And I've got a really fun one I'm going to share with you in just a minute. But here's another example where this particular client had a promo that was a national promo at all their brick and mortar retailers that they historically had not ever given Amazon, because Amazon couldn't execute the bundle discount, right? And we were able to include Amazon in the bundle promotion, the national promotion that they do at every other brick and mortar. And that was something that was new for them and was new for Amazon, and it worked out really well for everybody involved. Holiday promotions. Again, if you notice, I'm talking about promotions quite a bit here. Custom landing pages are great for that, right? That Vans was an actual seller. They were not a brand. They were a seller, and they had a bunch of exclusive deals that they had negotiated with LG and Samsung, and they wanted to promote those deals within their own custom landing page because they didn't get access to brand stores. They didn't have a brand store. So they're like, how do I do brand stores? Like, with custom landing pages, that's an avenue. And they go, well, cool, we have these bundles that we like hard bundled at our fulfillment center, and we really want to promote those, which also gave them exclusivity from the buy box standpoint, because it was their own custom, ASIN. So there's that. And then there's also a fun fact. I'm not going to guarantee it, but there is a way in working and engaging with Amazon that buy box ownership can also be, I'm not going to say guaranteed, but when you click on add to cart, you would be the seller. There, I can't say guaranteed. I'm just going to leave it at that. But this is one of those avenues where I know for sellers, buy box ownership is a really big, important talk track. There's a way, and I'm not going to get too deep on it right this second, to leverage custom landing pages to help with that. Okay. And then limited time offers. This is something I used to myself work at a very disruptive internet retailer way back in the day, and we always used limited time offers and net little countdown clock and tickers to make people go, oh God, I got to buy this in the next 20 minutes, or right? A lot of these are tactics that some of you that are from the e-commerce landscape, these are things you do on your own .coms and via ClickFunnels and all the other fun things. Custom landing pages, by the way, also outside of Amazon are like the way. So limited time offers is now available. Like, we could actually help you with that on Amazon in our partnership with Amazon with regard to custom landing pages. But this is also a very fun, very conversion focused destination, right? And again, when we're going back to those DSP tactics, wouldn't it be great if you could actually bring them to a destination where there was a deal, so you get the conversion and your ad spend efficiency is massively increased. And then here's just a fun one. Again, this was where we leveraged sponsored display for the client, and they wanted to cross-sell their hard drives with all of the network attached storage hard drive housings. So there was Synology and QNAP and Drobo and all of the others. And because we built our campaigns granularly, and cross-merchandise with each of those brands, their network attached storage drives in separate campaigns, we were able to come back to them to go, okay, across all of the cross-sell campaigns with all the network attached storage housings, Synology was the best. We were able to work with Synology and Seagate, the hard drive manufacturer, to put together these bundles and collaborate with, both of those brands were vendor central. So we were able to actually go back with data to the vendor management teams to be able to get them to create the bundles, because in the vendor central landscape at this time, you had to use a vendor manager to get it done. And because we had the data to validate it, because we built granularly, and we put together a custom landing page when we drove to the detail page, which again were those Frankenstein together, like it's their image, maybe it's mine, and their bullet point. We still got a 9-to-1 because we did very granular, hyper laser focused targeting. But when we shifted that traffic over to the custom landing page, we more than doubled return on spend, primarily because we're able to tell the story and talk about the discount. So that's that. Sarah, do you want to talk about this example in building holiday pages? I know this is one of your favorites that we've seen out there.
Yeah, this is kind of relevant to all of us right now as we're getting through Q3, holidays right around the corner. We're starting to plan what we're doing for seller brands or sellers that sell multiple products in CE, CPG, fashion, whatever it is. This is such an awesome tool because you can create your own curated holiday custom landing page where you can offer exclusive discounts, bundles. You know, any of the parents here know how hard it can be to shop and browse on Amazon for you know, gifts for children and for family members. This is such a great way that once you're in market, you get served these display ads driving to a custom landing page. Goodness, it makes that shopping experience so much easier. Everything's right here on one page. These are all the things I need to get. It's very easy. It's a great tool, this curated experience for consumers, and then also for you sellers who, you know, want to put out your own curated gift guides.
Cool. So if detail page, all right. Yes, this is a no-brainer for those of you that have access to enhanced brand content. A+ pages in the vendor central landscape. A+ premium is really important for mobile, by the way. This is a no-brainer. And you know, I get asked like, okay, if I'm doing all these other things, brand store, custom landing pages, and in a minute I'm going to share with you guys like an image gallery best practice of which everybody on this webinar probably already knows, but there may be some of you that don't. So we'll definitely share that in a second. They asked me like, why would I even bother with enhanced brand content or A+ content? Here's my answer. Have you ever gone to Google and typed in a top of funnel non-branded keyword and noticed that Amazon is always on page one somehow, some way? Wouldn't it be great if Amazon was winning on Google, top of funnel non-branded, and they were directing that traffic to your detail page? Yeah, that's why you want to do enhanced brand content where you can layer in as much content and detail. And obviously the most obvious is conversion reasons. But when you think about it, like you want to organically rank on Amazon for sure. And you need to check all the boxes with regard to what the algorithm is searching for on Amazon, yes. But did you know that in the landscape of other traditional search engines, Amazon dominates over there? Wouldn't you like them to dominate with you? That's why we still promote the concept of detail page optimization, A+ content, enhanced brand content, etc. I'm going to tell this story real quick. ComScore came out, 2016 was the last number I saw, and they said 51% of US online shoppers, and this is 2016 stat, 51% use the Amazon app to do their shopping, right? The latest stat as of January 2020 was 79% of US adults have a smartphone. Of that 79%, 77% have said that they purchased a product within the last 6 months. So those are like the last 6 months, which was 2019, right? And then you tie that back to the 51% of US online shoppers are using the Amazon app. I think it's crystal clear where I'm going next. You gotta optimize your detail pages for mobile, right? And you know, with an update that Amazon did about 1.5 years ago, no longer when you like click on the image gallery was like this weird zoom box thing that you move your thumb around. It was really lame. Now when you click on the image gallery, it went from 40% about 1 year ago, it turned into like, okay, 40% of the page on your mobile device was the image gallery. And as of late, it's a total screen overtake right? So now when you click on the image gallery, it overtakes the entire mobile screen, which is great because now you can swipe left and right. There's other platforms out there that have trained people how to swipe left and right. And with that, telling the story left and right is kind of how you want to go about it. But this is an example where AirPods Pro was the #1 most frequently searched product through bulk of Turkey 5. And this is how Apple, being one of the first $1 trillion companies in the world, showed up on Amazon, right? And you might go, well, they're following all the rules. It's a white background and it's 85% product and 15% white background. Now, do they check the box because they got a lifestyle photo, right? No, that's like, I see the guts of an AirPod there. I have no idea why I'm looking at the guts of an AirPod there. There's like zero context, zero education, right? It's just, sorry to pick on Apple right now, but I'm just saying, like, maybe they're just counting on the fact that they're Apple. Okay, fine, winning. But this is what we did for Samsung in layering in an entire storyboard. So what we call it is a sentiment analysis. We'll go out and read all the reviews. We'll go over to like the forum communities and we'll start to shape together, like, what are the pain points shoppers have about the competitor product? Definitely yours as well, but let's go then shape messaging around those pain points of the competitor. So we answer those pain points, not scrolling all the way down to the bottom of the detail page through all the distraction widgets, but right there front and center in your image gallery. And let's storyboard. So for, one of the pain points about AirPods, and I'm wearing a pair, and absolutely this is a true statement, the battery life for AirPods Pro sucks, right? And that was what we read in the content and the reviews and in forums and everywhere else. And Samsung wanted to respond with, well, did you guys know that we actually get 22 hours, right, of serious sound? So we layered in on brand with, according to their style guide, a story about battery life. And then we talked about connection, because that's also a massive pain point with AirPods, is the second you pull it out of your ear, it hangs up on your Zoom in the middle of the webinar. That's happened to me once or twice, right? Connection, that was another pain point. And yeah, we did eventually, we definitely have our lifestyle photo, but we did eventually get to the guts image, but it wasn't like the second image. It was like one of the last images, and it was centered around, what is in the guts? Why do I care about looking at the guts? What's the story? What's the narrative? Tell me something about this picture, right? And we really honed in on, this is where the tweeter is, this is where the woofer is as well. So looking at that, I think, like, we've literally got 7 minutes left. Normally we go over, and I'm amazed that we made it this far without me going over. So questions, let's have fun with that.
Yeah, so again, feel free to put your questions in the Q&A bar down at the bottom or on the side, depending on how it appears on your screen. We did get a question about DSP pricing. Is it still $30,000 a month?
No, so, when working with us here at Channel Bakers, if you wanted to, we don't have minimums, but again, if you've got like a $150 budget, that's probably not going to do much. There's probably a threshold that really we'll look at with you, centered around your conversion rate. So if your product has like decent conversion rate, you've got some solid creative, your budget doesn't need to be as large. But no, it is not a $30,000 minimum when engaging us Channel Bakers.
And with Q4 being right around the corner, Josh or Sarah, if somebody wants to get started with an agency like yours to start working on some of this branding, what kind of time frame or runway do they need to make sure that they have everything that they need ready to go for the Q4 holiday season?
I'll touch on creative. Sarah, do you want to just touch on like general onboarding? Let's just say of a new client and that turnaround.
Generally, it's never too early to reach out with us and set up a discovery call, depending on the uniqueness of your category, the stage of your business, etc. We can help in that discovery call understand what the timelines would be for a Q4 execution. Some will be longer lead times, others not so much.
All right. The way I've historically answered that, yesterday. But
okay, yesterday. How'd I do?
No, but I would say it depended upon how decisive you are, right? If we get together, we have a discovery call, and we start to go through some of the challenges that you're having and how we might be able to help, and you come to a decision within a week. For that CGIT example where I had to build 983 campaigns, we did that in. Okay, Sarah, I'm not gonna catch a world on fire right now, but back in the day, we did it in 72 hours, and it was crazy and it was chaotic. Sarah's looking at me like throwing daggers right now, but let's just say like an average onboarding is a solid week, and we'll start getting campaigns, running either at the beginning of that following week, or maybe at the very tail end, depending on how much you have ready for us to be able to leverage. That's the other key takeaway here is if you've got all the things, we can make it happen really fast. If there's assets that need to be built, then there's some time frame there that we're going to need your help in shortening. The other piece now, let's just talk about creative. Creative is really one of those where let's just say that we had a discovery call. You guys said, yeah, you guys are our guys. That's awesome. Let's start working together. From that moment on, we're going to have like this brand discovery conversation. We're going to want to review all of your assets with you. We're going to try to identify whether or not you have like a centralized place, like a web dam for all of your assets. Like all of that is going to come into play. But from the time that we get everything that we need to a final output, that's going to vary by different type of creative product you want us to create for you. If it's ad creative, that's fairly quick. Let's just say, again, Sarah, don't shoot me for SLAs here, but let's just say from the time that we get everything we need to the time there's an output that we can leverage for an ad campaign, let's make that 1 week, 5 business days. If it's a custom landing page, that's going to take more time. If it's a brand store at the Amazon.com/Samsung, that was a 80-page brand store, right? That took us a minute. So really it varies on how prepared you are to engage, whether it's an agency, how prepared you are to engage an agency. If you've got all the things, and you're retail ready, and you've got assets already, and all of the above, and you've got a really awesome creative agency that can whip things up for you quickly, cool, we can get started fairly quick, right? So there, I know that's a long answer to a short question. It's very Josh-like.
Okay. Hey, Josh, someone is asking us how we make custom landing pages.
That is in partnership with Amazon, and that's about as much as I can say about that. And we can definitely have that conversation on a discovery call. But there's a, custom landing pages are amazing. We're big proponents of them inside of the walls of Amazon, and they're very helpful in making them a reality for our clients.
Good question.
Cool.
All right, we still have quite a few people still on the webinar, so please, we still have a few more minutes of Josh and Sarah's time, so fire away any more questions you all have, and we'll do our best to answer them here in the next couple minutes.
There's quick info on where you can find us. You check us out at growthedough.com. That's a redirect to our YouTube channel if you want to get to know us a little bit. And then you've got our website, and there's an email address for all of you that don't have any questions at the ready.
Right.
Sarah, where do we get a picture of this dog? I think that there's a funny story there.
This is one of the dogs of one of our team members, Josh. And I'm sorry.
He's Insta famous, right?
The dog's name, but yeah.
Little corgi.
Little corgi. Yeah, we actually have a Slack channel called Channel Bakers. We are huge pet fans here at Channel Bakers. And so this is one of our amazing channels on the team.
That's cute. We have a kids and pets channel, but we need to come up with a more creative name for our channel. But we share our kids and pets photos too.
Can help you with that.
Person just asked, when can I rewatch this info? This was recorded, so in the next couple hours, we will send out an email to everybody who registered. So you will get a copy of the recording. So you'll have all of this information to rewatch again or share with anybody else on your team who may have missed it. But yeah, I know we're at 3 o'clock Eastern now, so we're at the top of the hour. So we will go ahead and just wrap it up. But Sarah and Josh, thank you so much. That was just so much information, so helpful, so valuable, and great timing because Q4 is right around the corner. So get out there and get your advertising strategies in place. It'll be here before we know it. So thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys. Catch you later.
Bye. Thanks.